everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Kat, known as phamerina.planning here on YouTube and on Instagram. And today's video is a plan with me for the week of September 23rd through the 29th using this Sadie Stickers July 2023 mystery foiled in rose gold. It's the one with the lake cabin, I believe. I know it has the waterfall because the waterfall was what I really wanted to use. I will say that I remember when I was doing some snooping in hauls that this was the one that also has the trims page where the printing quality seemed to be a little off, where the trims seemed to be a different color than the rest of the florals. And I believe I actually haven't sat down and observed it, so we're gonna find out through this video while I'm doing this voiceover whether it's that noticeable or not, in case you have this kit and you're concerned about using the trims and the floral washi due to the color difference. So I guess you can see and make that judgment call for yourself. But I know for this kit, I wanted to use the waterfall um, deco. Like, that was the one thing I knew I wanted to use. So I kind of started that. Well, that was sidebar focal point was that waterfall. But let's go to the washi, which I just finished laying down. I did use the two washis, and then I laid down a Sadie Stickers leaf washi. It was the one she released this year. This was the one with the leaves blowing in the wind. So what was nice with this washi was that there was one traveling towards the left and one traveling towards the right. Like, the wind swoosh looks that way. It's not very noticeable now, but up close you can kind of see it. And it was nice to be able to have, directional washis, I guess. So you saw me lay down the waterfall, but very much like a few weeks ago, I think, I was like, that's all I got. I got this one element, but I didn't figure out the rest. So I said, let's just pull in larger elements here. And I pulled in, seems like whenever I don't know what I'm doing, I usually pull in the film strip. Like, if I don't plan it out, the film strip shows up. I guess that's my kind of crutch, I guess, if you want to call it that, is using the film strip, just because it creates an interesting background. And you can also put color washes behind it. I didn't do that, and the last time I tried to pull up one of these extensively, it's not super noticeable, but if you're staring at it, you can see where the foil was seeing some stress from being pulled up from the page. So I said, we'll add the color in other ways instead of trying to pull it up and put watercolor swatches down there, because these actually didn't come with the watercolor washes. That those started up shortly after this mystery was released. So put down the film strip, and then I pulled in the stamp and some quotes from A Dash of Sun Designs freebie that I have. And then moving on to the date cover area, I just used the ones from the kit and just laid some of the deco behind it, on top of it. Just filled up that area with the leaves and the florals that were kind of floating around. And then I think this sampler was the one with a lot of the little dot leaf clusters, like the little teeny tiny ones, which are fun, but I'm not sure how I feel about them just because they're so tiny. Can't really tell that they're leaves, and I guess I like to be able to see it. I mean, I continue to use them, but I feel like it just looks like a bunch of dots unless you're staring at it really close. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I tend to like larger foiled elements where you can clearly see what it is. I guess that's what it is. And definition is very important to me, so I guess that's what I'm trying to say with the dot clusters, is that I wasn't, not that I dislike them, I'm just not their biggest fan. So date covers, and then for my for my full boxes, we went tilted boxes, and then I pulled in the lace headers and the lace washi. No, I think the lace washi was different um, for the um, compared to the lace headers, because I believe that switch also happened at some point. Otherwise, I probably would have just pulled in the lace. Oh, maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. I cannot remember. I mean, you can go back and check it out in the video and just tell me how wrong I am. But I've been finding that I like having a non-foiled element to outline my boxes. It just creates another level of interest. It kind of, mostly it's like it looks like a picture frame, and I really I really enjoy that. Um so if shops want to start coming out with this kind of stuff and make my life a little bit easier. It's not like difficult. I guess this is kind of like the thing with like box liners. People probably started using just like the washies and the headers, yeah, the headers to line their boxes, and then shops probably like, let's take the work out and just make box liners. So it's not like a particularly difficult thing to do. It's just, if I want to make my life a little, if someone wants to make my life a little easier, you got one customer. Then with this other full box, I noticed, or I think I saw this tree line deco over here. It kind of has like this river in the front. I was like, let's play around with creating scenes with my full boxes, because that's kind of something I've been struggling with recently. Is like, I love using all of the deco, but I also want to use my full boxes. Like, to me, a weekly kit is the full boxes. So I've been trying to find um or I've been enjoying, I guess is more the correct term, like creating little scenes that um kind of look like they flow out from a full box, to make use of my full boxes and my deco, because I feel like that's something that's kind of like a sticking point in the community, is that people want to use their full boxes, but they want to use like the deco to create fun scenes. So how can we mesh these two? So that is something I'm interested in seeing where the community goes in the future, is whether we will see less full boxes, maybe. I don't know. Um, it is going to be, it is something that could happen, and I don't know if it will. Um, but to have um, more options in that way. Okay, let's just focus on what's going on the screen here. So I had these frames from Dash of Sun, that came on a freebie from the Canadian Planner Collective sale. And I wanted to use it somehow. So I couldn't, at first my thought was to frame this full box, but the outline of the ribbon is a little wonky. It wouldn't have fit. So then my next thought was to have it kind of fan out from behind the full box, but I'm like, I don't really like how that looks. It's too much space. So I was like, why not just lay them on top like you do the lace headers, and just create another kind of little frame. So I really enjoy like this. I'm like, for some reason, really proud of. Just because, again, it's a different way to kind of create a frame that isn't foiled, and I think that's something I'm really vibing with right now. This and like, I really love, so I do use foiled frames here, or foil, to frame out the box, but only on the parts that are not covered by the decorative element. I forgot what, the ribbon and the bow. Um, but I think it's such a striking piece of deco that I was like, I got to use this somehow. And then for the rest of them, I just did tilted, and I think at the bottom under what is Thursday, I kind of mirror the other side. So I'll use a large torn strip and then create another kind of little scene with deco and full box to again kind of stretch that creativity, um where I can still utilize all these pieces that I really love. Um and of course, whenever I do tilted boxes, I feel the need to frame them. No idea why. I just feel like they're kind of floating on a page unless I frame them. it's just what it is. Here I'm spending a really long time here. What I think is interesting about these full boxes is kind of that watercolory background where you could see the like it's not fully colored if you especially in that flat lay top left corner. You can see where it kind of looks like a wash of color in the background, which is something I thought about when I did that was like I think the intention, maybe not intention, but the look is kind of like to as if the scene was painted onto the page, which boxing it out kind of defeats the purpose of that. But that's just my interpretation of the background of that full box. That's just what I think, and I could be wrong. um, so that was the day by day. Yay. I was like, I know we're gonna finish soon. I don't spend a lot of time on that bottom box. So I had these foliage borders that I wanted to make use of to line the top, but I knew I wanted to get all the elements down first so I didn't have to pull the foliage border back up again in order to lay my elements down. So we start Monday as we always do with the Coffee Monday. Then I had my page turned. Okay, we had Coffee Monday. Um Nothing exciting happened at work because the next thing I'm gonna mark is a Wendy's dinner. And then I started editing my With This Ring Plan With Me. Um that was a fun one. That was my first experiment, if you want to call it an experiment, my first experience, there we go, with using inserts. Oh yeah, and I forgot I created this little other micro scene here. Again, I am experimenting, playing with letting whatever sticker catches my attention at the time to just create micro scenes because that's something I'm also having a lot of fun with too. Tangents a galore today, apparently. So one interesting things that are always in Sadie stickers kits are that is that little tag there, and I'm always like, how do people use it? I think this is the second time I've used it in my memory, and I've like I don't usually use it to mark anything, but it's kind of a really small decorative element. So I'm like, how do people usually use that? I mean, I just put some foil deco on it and like put it at the top as like just something of interest. Um, but that was interesting. And then this like small little swatch. I'm like, how do people use that? And I think Jamie from Jamie Plans with Cats used it as like an underline under something. I just don't remember what it was. But I was like, that's so smart. Has like an underline for emphasis. I was like, how do you use this thing? It's so small. So that was Tuesday. I didn't even talk about what happened on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I mean I did a voiceover and we had chicken pie that night for dinner. Apparently nothing very interesting happened. I guess this week was pretty quiet. On Wednesday, it's funny, it's cyclical because I'm back to the retrospectives. I watched a bunch of Sly Cooper retrospectives. Sly Cooper is one of my favorite series on the PlayStation 2. It's very underrated, at least from my understanding. A lot of people I know personally played Sly Cooper, but apparently he's not very well known in the gaming community. So if you're really into like platformers, Sly 1 is going to be your game. If you're into stealth action games, Sly 2 and 3. Sly 4 is okay. I have to probably revisit it to see my opinion now, but I love the Sly Cooper series. I mean, it's a raccoon that wears a mask over his mask because he's a thief. And what is more funny than that? But no, it's a really great series. I love that series. Okay, so I keep talking about things. On Wednesday, I also got my Happy Mail from the Giving Girl. It was the Ghoulish Glam collection. Grabbed that entire thing. Beautiful collection. And Smudge, my little black cat, he's like developed into like a large boy. He was like super hungry, even though he gets all the food he's supposed to get. But he's a little jerk now. Um, it was just very strange because he's not usually this much of a jerk. On Thursday, I marked that my Glow Plan With Me went live. That kit is still one of my favorite kits. It's so special. I'm noticing that all the special kits to me are like night kits or have blue, like a dark blue though, has like their background or has a focal point. Um, wait, I also got oh wait, hold on. There was a lot of rain on the commute home, and since there was so much rain, we were like, the mail's probably not coming because my D-stash from Tay, which had the icons that I used, the foiled icons that I used here, that D-stash was coming, and I was like, it's supposed to come today, and the mail just never came during its normal time, so we were like, I guess it's not coming, and then it did come. My husband walked outside, he was like, guess what came? I was like, really? I just filmed the haul, now I'm gonna have to film another part. It was a whole thing. Oh Jesus, I'm yappy today. Friday, we have something that I just would rather not talk about. Then it was a rough night, and we went to, actually it was IKEA first, and then it was a rough night. We went to IKEA for, I don't remember what exactly. We just wanted to do an IKEA run. Oh no, it wasn't for this thing. It wasn't We have a train table that we built, but it wasn't for the train table. Was it for the, maybe it was for the car, the little mat with the map for the cars. That's probably what we went and got. And then it was just a rough bed night. On Saturday, um, we had a very early start. Bub was up early. Then I got my Sadie Stickers Happy Mail. It was the mystery sub for the month. Again, I was very surprised. We went and played in puddles at the park, and I started setting up my October Bujo, and I like, that's the one with the Dutch door that I didn't intend to do, but somehow I ended up doing it. I went deep into that rabbit hole when I followed that trail. Sunday, we we played Mario Kart. Bub likes to play the Mario Kart, but one with the driving assist. We went to Aussie, which is a local, somewhat local, Asian supermarket, and had boba tea. And then we binged watched Canada's Worst Driver. It's kind of like our thing now. We haven't watched it in a while, just because we've both been really busy and tired at night. But like, dang, drivers. This is the spread. I am very yappy today. I'm really sorry. These are the leftovers, and I really like how it came out. At first, I wasn't sure about this sidebar, but I really enjoy it now. Um, and here's the flyover. Not much else to say here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you gave the video a like. Leave me any thoughts in the comments below. And I hope you subscribe to my little channel here. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!